Welcome back to Strange Form. Today we will be looking at the much-delayed Hot Toys Wonder Woman 1984 Deluxe Gold Armor version. Having waited more than 2 years and through an entire pandemic to get this one, I am more than a little bit curious to see how it did indeed turn out. The box is almost too big for my review space. Now let's get this mangled, no extra protection Sideshow box open, shall we? For the price Sideshow charges for shipping, I would like to at least once receive a mint condition box. Regardless of what you think of the movie, it's difficult to deny that the gold armor was an awesome aesthetic. Plus, ever since I was a small child, from Transformers to dinosaurs, I've always loved wing toys. As you can see, it has a yellow, green, gold, and orange logo on the front. Inside, you are met with a large metallic gold cover, which actually might look cool as a frame backdrop. In hand, the whole thing plays sort of like a Gucci or Louis Vuitton bag, which is a strange way to go for superhero toy collectors, but it does fit the 1980s vibe. So, good job, I guess. The first tray has her helmet, which consists of 2 components, her lasso of truth, and an extra accessory to make the lasso look like it's wrapped around her hand. 4 extra sets of hands, 2 open and 2 semi-closed, and the ones affixed to her are her fists. And of course, the extra wrist pegs. Like most Hot Toys figures, it feels hefty and sturdy in hand. On the bottom of the packaging, it looks like she comes with a cape, but it's actually a foam inlay that protects the armor. On the next layer is the main event, the whole reason behind the giant box and the Deluxe Edition label. The 2 sets of open and closed metallic gold wings, which look so much like metal I expected them to be much heavier when I lifted them out of the box. But though detailed, they are in fact very light plastic, which is good because they will be much less prone to drifting when on her back, but is also nerve-jangling when you go to transport them across the room, as they do feel like they would chip if they were to slip out of your hands and hit the floor. Along with the 4 individual wings and the hinged wing mount, the bottom tray also contains a base stand with an emblem and mirror finish, a wing support bracket, a heavy-duty bendy-twisty stem for support, and a crotch hook pincher combo to hold the figure at 3 points. Oh, and of course the instruction booklet, which as you can see portrays the articulation as extremely limited, largely due to the restrictiveness of the armor. And I do mean restrictive. Getting her into the crossed arm pose took a lot more foul language than I was expecting. Overall, I really like the figure, and am quite impressed with the metallic sheen, as well as Godot's likeness, which is a step above any figure to date. All that being said, I do have a few complaints that I will get into in a moment. First, a strange observation here. Her base is either a retooling of another figure's base, or they were going to have a speech or light-up function that ended up getting nixed at the last moment. There is a battery compartment, which opens up and clearly shows a place for 3 AAA batteries, but no electronic components to speak of. Assembling the figure and changing out the wings is quite easy. Each is held into a center hinge, sort of like a door frame hinge, which I do wish was actually 2 hinges so that you could get more independent movement out of each wing. But it's good enough for most poses. The wings are held in by 2 tension knobs that slot into the back mounting accessory, and that mounting process was an extremely familiar sensation for me, as it is the exact same way that my Costco shelving went together. I do really appreciate the fact that the wings can be installed asymmetrically, allowing for even more dynamic possibilities when posing her. The wings attach at the back where there is a dual socket peg hole for stability, and when you're not displaying her with her wings, she has an armor piece that hides the attachment point. Now let's get into the display options. First, standard hair down, no helmet, no wings. Once you put the helmet on, her hair is going to lose a lot of its body, and need brushing if you want to display her again without it. She looks amazing with the folded wings, but I do wish they would have given the option not to have the crotch hook, because she can't be displayed in anything other than a wide foot stance. This leads to why I clipped the stand to her wings instead of her body here. It was the only way I could get her thighs together. This pose brings me to my second complaint. Her open hands are huge. So distractingly so that I didn't want to pose her with them ever again. I will expound on this a little bit later. As well as the ability to display the wings spread eagle, they can also be displayed folded forward, which looks even more impressive in person. but I think my favorite wing display option was asymmetrical, which allows for posing that implies quite a bit of movement, and I am really impressed with the fact that the bendable stem could stand up to all this weight. I kind of wish that this kind of stand would come with everything from here on out. Everything. A box of donuts? I want this stand. Though if this stand does make another appearance, I would like for Hot Toys to include a flip-down option for the crotch hook. What's your favorite stand type? Let me know in the comments below. Now close up, you can see that the details are simple yet well sculpted. And the lighting is everything. The more creative you are, the more amazing the piece will look. The costume has a few hidden articulation points, but for the most part is extremely rigid. The head sculpt is spot on, but the eyes are not staring forward, but slightly to her left, which makes me wish that they would have included more than one facial expression, the way they do with many of the Batman figures. But I don't know, does Gal Gadot have more than one facial expression? The gauntlets look good and hold tight, not pushing the hands off, and as with every Hot Toys Wonder Woman, the lasso braiding looks really good. The costume's paint applications are extremely crisp for something with such little color variation. I.e., where it's done well. And the under armor has a slightly rubbery texture, yet intricate fine detail. And I really do love how they placed the leg armor in a patchwork rather than a sleeve. And they did it without making the individual pieces feel like they're going to pop off. The boots look great, and I'm happy to see that they put tread on the bottom, as this figure is most likely going to be displayed flying, and you'll see the bottoms of her feet. Now, back to these damned hands. At first I thought I was overreacting, but I compared them next to her head, and they are definitely not in proportion. I also compared them next to other Hot Toys female figures, and these are definitely the odd ones out. They are also somewhat bulbous to boot. In short, it was really nice of Hot Toys to think of all of those collectors who want to reenact Seinfeld episodes. The base and plaque look nice and have a mirror finish, which adds to the shiny nature of the overall display. Like I said before, lighting makes a world of difference. Now, let's sit back and enjoy Wonder Woman in all her 1980s rainbow glory. Or as Rumstein would say, Wunderbar, Fräulein! So, after all is said and done, what do I think? Is this one worth the hefty price tag? My answer? It's subjective. Many people didn't like Wonder Woman 1984, and I understand the criticism. However, I enjoyed it for the love letter to Richard Donner that it was. If you go back and watch the Richard Donner Superman films, you immediately recognize the same need for suspension of disbelief. I think that Wonder Woman 1984 will someday become more of a cult classic than anything else. And at that time, this beautifully crafted, yet not completely without flaw figure will probably be much more difficult to find at a fair price. In the end, if you are a huge Wonder Woman fan, I think that this one will display prominently amongst your collection. However, if you didn't enjoy 1984 and you don't believe that 2 + 2 is 5, you should probably hold off on this one. To grow and make more content, this channel needs every subscriber it can get. So please hit that like button, share, subscribe, and as always, never stop collecting.